Welcome to our breakout session for fixed operations. Today's session is titled Customer Connections, Enhancing Communication and Retention. Everyone has been muted, but throughout this session, we encourage you to post your questions in the Q&A feature. We will be taking regular pauses to address these questions, but if we don't get to your question during today's session, we will follow up with you directly. At this time, I'd like to introduce Kim Saylor. Kim is a Senior Director of Product Marketing for Fixed Operations here at CDK. Take it away, Kim.
Okay, thanks, Cindy. Good morning and good afternoon, depending on where you are in the country. But as Cindy said, this is the customer connections, enhancing your communications, and it's the fixed ops breakout. So I just wanted to make sure that everyone is in the right breakout. And so before I get started, let me just introduce the other people who are going to be presenting with me. So I have along with me Jaya Damasia. She is our Vice President of Product Management for everything fixed ops at CDK. And then I also have Brooke Wilson with me. She's one of our product marketers in the fixed operations space. So as we go through, you'll get to hear from everyone. And we also have a couple of guest speakers, which I'll introduce them as they come along. So really the objectives for today is to review the latest research findings that we have about what service customers want from their service experience, and then learn how CDK is actually taking those insights to change how we build our product and our product strategy so that we're actually enhancing all of your customer communications. So we researched and surveyed over 2,000 active service shoppers who frequent dealerships, independent shops, and chains to find out from them what the current market trends, but also from those same shoppers, what they would love to have offered at their service center. And if a feature was missing, which ones would make them unhappy if they were missing. So the top 3 features that we found from customers, the very first one is transparent service pricing. So of course, low pricing is also important, but consumers are really searching for transparent and consistent pricing. First, they want to be able to see it when they're actually pricing out their services as they're scheduling their appointments online, but they want to ensure that price is consistent all the way through the invoice process, so after the work has been completed. So transparent and consistent pricing was the #1 feature. The #2 feature is actually factory trained and certified parts, factory trained technicians and certified parts. And this is really one of the biggest advantages that you as franchise dealers have over those independent and chain shops. So it's the experience of your factory trained technicians that service shoppers are looking for, and it's really important to them. So what I would recommend is doing what you can to promote those 2 assets, promote your technicians, promote the fact that you have certified parts, so that because it's vital to customer satisfaction and retention of those customers. And then our #3 that we found from the service shopper study is real-time status updates. So as consumers in a retail environment, we've really come to expect this feature. So whether it's ordering a pizza or DoorDash, when I order something from DoorDash, I know the status of it all the way till it's dropped off on my doorstep. We can see that status. So customers are expecting that same type of communication. It's really critical to keeping those customers satisfied. And quite honestly, customers don't want to have to call into the dealership to find out what the status is of their vehicle. They want to get that information on their mobile device, real time. So I know Brian talked about this. I don't remember if he actually called out this specific stat, but the #1 strategy for dealers is improving the customer experience. As a matter of fact, 77% of dealers say that's their actual top business strategy. So my question to you is, what are you doing? What are you going about changing to make your customers' experience better so that they choose you over that chain or that independent service shop? So really staying connected with your customers throughout that entire service workflow is going to be key to aligning to that business strategy and improving your customer's experience with your service department. So From scheduling all the way through vehicle ready, it's critical to keep your customers informed proactively, not even just reactively. So let's kick it off and start with scheduling. So as Sanjay mentioned in his keynote presentation, the first impression that you can make with your customers is when they're scheduling their service appointment. This is really where the communication begins. And so, of course, you have to offer, an omni-channel presence. You have to give them the ability to schedule their appointments online, but it also has to be easy for your customers. So not just giving them the ability to schedule online, but make it easy. So today, 27% of consumers are scheduling their appointments online. So why isn't that higher? Well, research has found that if you display fewer service items for the customer to select from, dealers are actually seeing a 33% decrease in their online scheduler drop rate. So the less options you give them, the more likely they're going to stay and actually create that appointment online. But along with less services, those services must have pricing included. Remember that number one feature was that transparent pricing. You need to make sure that you're displaying the pricing online as well. So now I'm going to have Brooke join us, and she's going to walk through the online scheduling solution and how it's going to help, begin that communication with your customers and help make that first impression.
Awesome. Thanks, Kim. Yeah, just as you had mentioned, 27%, I want to reiterate that 27% of your service customers are scheduling those appointments online. So let's give you a little bit of a demonstration of exactly what they're going to be seeing when they want to schedule an appointment at your dealership online today. What they're going to be seeing when they open up the appointment scheduler is a returning customer. Now, I'm going to act like I am actually been at this dealership before. So I'm going to enter in my customer profile's phone number. Then I'm going to send a two-step verification that's going to protect my information and your customer's information going forward. Now it's going to populate all of those existing vehicles that are going to be available underneath that phone number. It's going to show the mileage and all those connected vehicle health alerts that we've recently spoken about. Now, if you'd like to add those alerts to that RO, you can easily add the little red add service. It'll also show you previously declined services and also show you that service pricing that we were honing in on. If you click on that click for pricing. Coming up a little bit further, you can go ahead and see the description on those critical health alerts, just so it gives you the validation and transparency on what those services are going to be. Just as we've talked about a few times now, if you go ahead and go to click for pricing, you're going to go ahead and be able to pick the driving conditions. I drive on pretty normal standard roads, so there was nothing for me. But as you can see, it's going to give you that $40 and exactly what's going to be included in that 5,000 mile service. Here, you're going to be able to see the transportation options. I'm going to go ahead and wait on my vehicle for my service. Go ahead and click next, and then it's going to bring you to the availability to scheduling that appointment. You can either filter by advisor or just go and see what date and time is going to work best for you. Going next, you're also going to be able to confirm the appointment via email or text message and go ahead and book that appointment. Now it's going to give you a little bit more information on exactly where you're going to be going for that appointment, exactly what services are going to be completed, and then it's also going to give you the opportunity to add it to your calendar. Finally, you also now have the opportunity to customize reminders. You can either customize those reminders by text message or email. I'm going to go ahead and do one day prior and also day of the appointment and save it, and that appointment is now scheduled. Now, as we previously mentioned, 27% of customer appointments are scheduled online. Now, what we've done and recently revamped was our in-store scheduler for our customers. So 27% of those customers are scheduling them online. Where are the rest of them scheduling them? They're still calling into the dealership. They're still scheduling them in store. So let's give you a bird's eye view into what exactly that workflow looks like today. Here is your new dashboard. We're going to go ahead and create an appointment just as we did online. I'm going to go ahead and insert the same number for the same customer profile like I did online, and it's going to populate that Toyota Camry once again. It's going to show all of my customer contact information, and also something very important to note now is on the right-hand side is the appointment summary. Instead of having your BDC agents or in-store agents scrolling all the way down for the appointment availability, you can actually go ahead and click on those headers and it'll do all the scrolling for you. So let's scroll all the way back up to the vehicle, and it's going to show you those three critical health alerts, just as it was showing you on the online appointments. If you'd like to add those to your RO, you can easily click the plus mark, and if you don't want to, there's going to be another gray X for you to take it off of your RO. Here you can also edit the different subsections like the odometer and the plate. And then here you can also enter in your quick pick or maintenance services. These are, easily customizable by the dealership and by opcode. There's also recalls and then maintenance services. So if you don't want to add those, you can go ahead and click the trash can and it'll be taken off the RO. We are going to bring this car in for service just as we did online for the 5,000 mile service. It's again going to ask you the same questions as it did online for driving conditions, and go ahead and click continue. Coming down a little bit further, you can also answer or add in anything else to the RO, but it's also showing you that transparent pricing like it was showing you online for the same $40 service. Finally, the appointment availability has now been altered based off the things that you have populated within the appointment summary, and we also now have weekly view. Say the customer wants to come in next week in the afternoon, what do you have available at noon? Wednesday works great for me, so we're going to go ahead and click into noon, hit select, and that appointment is in. Finally, you can come down a little bit further and add in customer notes that can be added to the RO or advisor notes that can be added into the RO. And you can also text or email that confirmation, and that appointment is now booked.
Okay, thanks, Brooke. So one of the things to point out, Brooke showed scheduling the appointment online, scheduling it in the store. That's the first step we talked about. It's the first impression, but it's also your first contact. So as soon as that appointment was scheduled, either online or in store, that customer got a text with that confirmation on it, and it allows them with a link, they could modify that appointment or cancel that appointment. So what I want to do now is invite one of our guests, Alex Echeverry from Raleigh BMW out in Long Island, New York, to talk about the new scheduler, because Alex's team has been using it for a while. So welcome, Alex.
Thank you, Kim, for inviting me. Thank you.
Sure. So would you mind just give me a little bit more detail about your service department, the size of it, anything about your dealership that you might want to share?
Sure. Basically, we're one of the largest single point BMW dealerships in the country. We have a rather large throughput, 120 to 130 appointments a day. We do have a dedicated BDC in-house, 7 team members, and a BDC manager strictly focused on fixed op scheduling, no sales follow-ups or sales related items. So it was good that CDK chose us as a pilot, because we showed them the extreme of what we would encounter in scheduling that volume of appointments. So we appreciated the invite.
Well, we're super happy to have you, pilot it for us. And if you listen to Brian's keynote, which I know you did, Alex, I think he mentioned 1,800 dealers that have access to this, and there's even more now. So it's nice you were a pilot, but everyone who's listening will have access to it, or should have access to it as well. It's in general availability now at this point. But so I was going to ask you, so since many of the people on the call aren't using the new scheduler yet, what could you share about your experience, like as far as when you first started using it? Like, was it easy to use? Was it easy to learn? What was the feedback from your BDC?
Well, the good news was we found it quite intuitive to use, even with no formal training. When we turned it on, we just literally started clicking around. And that, with Diane Sage, my BDC manager, and myself, probably have 30 years experience with CDK products between the both of us. So we found it very intuitive to use. It was following the UI from CDK Service. So if you already worked in CDK Service, you became familiar with the scheduler. And it became easy enough to click through and find your way through. And once we really started using it, it just flowed nicely, even at our volume levels.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, because you're, like you said, you're not small. So I figure, if a dealer your size, and which is one of the reasons it was great to have you pilot, right? So, but besides being easy to learn and easy to schedule and intuitive, are there other benefits that your BDC was able to, to see or additional value that they got from the new scheduler?
Yes, the way it was laid out, we are able to extract more information, so the BDC agents can quickly select the correct appointments, capacity levels. Like anything with CDK, it's all in the setup. So if you set your store up correctly, then the tools will be easier to use. You won't be battling anything like that. So highly recommended that all the setups are done and reviewed and tweaked. The beauty of the way we operate, we can actually adjust our appointments on a day-to-day basis. I can add more loaners. I can put in a couple of more waiters. If 10 technicians are out on training, we can quickly see our capacities, amend the incoming phone calls, and then make the throughput through the shop that much better. So the views that they were given, like the weekly view and the daily view and the capacity view, really helped or are helping with that and making that happen quickly and efficiently on the phone. Most of our guests in our demographic do call in. We have a little bit less than what Brian said. Probably 15% of our guests use online. And the reverse in BDC, they actually call in. So we're communicating with them one-on-one.
Yeah, well, that's great. I mean, I would say thanks again for, piloting for us, sharing your experience, joining us today so that everyone gets to hear, the value that you're seeing. So I really appreciate the partnership. And, again, thanks for joining the call today.
No problem. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Alex. So before we actually move on to the next step, Jay, I'm going to reach out to you and ask you if there are any questions that people have been putting in that we can answer before we move on.
Yeah, absolutely, Kim. We're starting to see a couple of questions trickle in. Maybe we'll spend a minute here to respond to those.
Okay.
There is a question on the new scheduler. Yes, it is available to everybody, as Kim mentioned earlier. You should see it in scheduling with a new little icon next to it. Please do give it a spin and let us know what your early thoughts are. There is a question on CDK Service service pricing guide and its ability to provide transparent parts and labor pricing. Are we doing any updates to service pricing application? Yes, we will be in 24. More on that as we connect later with you. And one last question maybe we'll take on the scheduler here. Thank you, Terry, for your compliments on the new scheduler and that you like it. You appreciate it. Can it be partitioned to schedule for express and main shop with separate capacities? Not at the moment unless, actually, sorry, yes, it can be scheduled at the moment. So my bad on that. Yes, please definitely go into setups and reach out to us if you need further assistance on that.
Yeah, we can have completely different setup or capacity settings for your express shop versus your main shop. So you can control, like Alex mentioned, his loaners. You could, you're not going to offer loaners to an express, but if there was different, whether it's the transportation types or just the total number of appointments or the time slots, you can customize all of that by the team. So yeah, that can get pretty flexible there.
Yeah, we do have a few questions, but we'll save them for a Q&A section later.
Okay, perfect. And we're going to break again. We'll take another stop as we go through, but we'll keep moving. So the next step really, of course, in the, the customer connection and the workflow is when the customer's dropping their car off for service. So, our research has shown that another thing that's really important, as we talked about, is the customers being informed throughout that experience with real-time status updates. Remember, that was the number 3 item. So, not just giving them a text saying a status, better yet, give them a link so that they can check it for themselves. So I don't have to wait for you to, for a link to come out or a text to come out. I can have a link and I can check it at any time. So the communication can start immediately when the RO is created with a welcome text that has a link to our vehicle tracker feature. And that's going to keep your customers updated as the repair order moves through that process. As I mentioned, it was the number 3 thing on our service shopper study. Consumers are really expecting this. I mentioned DoorDash, but I get a protein shake every day for lunch, a $10 protein shake, and they give me that experience. So really from a consumer perspective, we're expecting this. So once your customer drops their car off, you send them that welcome text with a link, and it's allowing them to track their status. And as you can see, 84% of customers say they will visit a dealership if this real-time updates were offered. So let's take a look really quickly to see how it's going to look for your customers. So I wanted to show you, this is what the customers are going to initially see. I'll show you just a second how the text will come through and then they'll see it. But one of the things I wanted to point out with our vehicle tracker is it's really customized by you. And what I mean by that is we give you the option to say, I want all of the updates to go out automatically. I don't want anyone to have to touch it. As my repair order works its way through the process, send that customer an update with that link. That's one option. The next option would be send them just a welcome text automatically, but everything after that, I want to control from my dealer, from my dealership. So we're going to, you're going to control when that customer gets the next text. And then finally, there's a completely manual option. So if you don't want anything to be automatic, you can control that. And not only can you control that, but if you look at the screenshot that I'm sharing, I think there's about 6 different options there. You can customize that. You may only want it to be, welcome, working, ready for review, ready for pickup. You can customize that. You can customize the number as well as what it's saying. So, instead of just saying being performed, inspection being performed, you could say it's being performed by your certified technician. Again, just to keep plugging that you have certified technicians and that's what the customers want. So let me just show you really quickly what the customer's going to see. They're going to get a text when they bring their RO in, depending on how you have it set up. Is it going to be automatic? But they're going to click on that link. And then once that link comes up, it'll launch the vehicle tracker. Now on mine, you can see this example. I only have 4 options: welcome, performing inspection, working on the vehicle, and ready for pickup. So you will actually control that for your dealership and for the customer's experience. So the next step in the process and the opportunity to connect with your customers is during the inspection process and providing a technician video. So according to J.D. Powers, their 2022 CSI study, customers are 3 times more likely to have service work done at your dealership if you provide a photo or video. And not only are they more likely to have the service work done when that's provided, but it gives you another opportunity to reinforce the value of your factory trained technicians by providing these videos from your technicians. So one of the things to point out here, if you look at the screen, is I have the ability as a customer not to just watch the video, but if you look at the bottom, I can share that video. So for example, my son is in college and has a car down there, and he has an appointment this coming Saturday for service. And if he gets a video, he's going to need to forward it to me because I'm going to be the one who ends up paying for it. So you can do that. As a customer, they can share that video. They can call back to the dealership. So if I click on the phone, I can call right back to the dealership, or I can text the dealership and text with my advisor. And the great thing is all of these KPIs are tracked. How many views, how long they watched, did they share it, how many times they shared it. All of these things will be tracked so that you can actually look at it and measure what's happening. So what I want to talk about now is some of the enhancements that we've recently made with our service view and our technician video solution. So first, it's a single texting platform. And what I mean by that is everything that's generated from your service solution is going to come from a single phone number. So the appointment confirmation, the vehicle tracker, the tech video, the mobile approval, it will all come to your customer from one single phone number. And so that's something that's available today. We also will have an integrated RO detail window, and I'm going to show you that in just a minute, so that as an advisor, I don't have to go anywhere outside of my inspection to see the tech videos and to send that to the customer. And then also integrated alerting. So as a customer texts me, no matter where I am, I'm going to see that and I can click on it and go right to the link. So really quickly, one of the integration points is anywhere you see the customer and their cell phone, there'll be a little icon to start the chat window. So in this case, there's no repair order open, so it just opens up a texting chat window so I can text back and forth with the customer. So truly anywhere where you're going to see that customer record, you're going to see that little icon, open it up, it allows me to text back and forth with the customer. Now, if I'm inside of a repair order, like I mentioned as an advisor, and I am in the middle of an inspection for a repair order, if a tech has sent that over and I click on that chat, now because there's an open RO, I can do everything. I can watch the video, I can send the video, I can just text back and forth with the customer. I have access to everything right from this window, completely eliminating the need to jump anywhere else to actually see what's happening on that repair order and communicate with my customers. So instead of you all listening to me about our solution, what I want to do is invite our second guest so that we can hear from someone who's been using it in the service department. So Rich Allen he's the general manager from Jaguar Land Rover of Cincinnati. He's been kind enough to join us. So thanks, Rich, for joining.
Nice to see you.
You too, Rich. So you and I have talked a lot and had many conversations about like the value that you see in utilizing the tech videos. So I'm just going to ask you if you could share with everyone what you've shared with me before, why you wanted to use a tool like this, like Service View, and the value that your dealership is experiencing with this tool.
Well, sure, Kim. And you know, just as you and I had talked about before, I've been chasing customer pay hours per RO for over 20 years now by reviewing service history and trying to find another way to push my service advisors towards pitching annual preventative maintenance, all 4 hours per RO. That was the entire push. It has been for decades. And the only downside with anything like that is it gets tired, it gets old, you reach a plateau. With Service View, in my opinion, once and for all, you're doing what you were trying to do all along, which is to build trust with your customers. I think it's the most important side of what Service View brings to the dealership experience. What you're trying to do is you're trying to bring the customers into being part of the inspection process in a technician's bay, literally making them a part of that experience and personalizing it with their vehicle. So I think all of those things together allow it to be more of an informed decision once you're trying to push the customer towards, buying any of your recommendations.
And I'm assuming that you are seeing that increased dollars per RO that you've been chasing for 20 years.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought it up because roughly 5 or 6 months ago, we were much like any other store out there, hovering around that 2.7, 2.8 customer pay hours per RO. And obviously we kept the lights on with those types of numbers, but already with Service View, we have those numbers up to 4.2 hours per RO, and that ebbs and flows. Sometimes it's even higher, and it will go higher once we improve some of our internal processes here.
Wow, that's great. I didn't realize it was that good, so that's good to hear. So, I've talked to dealers about utilizing a tool like this, ones that haven't really looked into it, and one of their concerns is getting buy-in from the technicians. So my question to you, it has to be hard because I hear it from other service directors, other managers, but how were you able to get buy-in from your techs when you first launched this tool?
Just in a simple phrase, it's tough. It's brutal, and at times you have to have some very, very thick skin as to some of the questions and objections that your technicians are going to have, or even just the entire service department. But what you have to remember, in my opinion, is why you're trying to do this. And in my opinion, it's because technicians equate to 100% of the labor that goes through a service department. think everyone would kind of agree with that. But more importantly, 70% of the parts that you sell every month go through that shop. So regardless of how tough it is, how much adversity you face when you're dealing with the technicians or anyone else, it's worth it. Those technicians are the most important facet of the entire fixed ops operation. And trust me, we know that here. But if you go into it knowing it's going to be tough, but that it's worth it, I really and truly think that you can change hearts and minds with steady applied pressure, which is what we try to do here. And to your point, Kim, the support for tech video has to come from the top, preferably from the dealer principal on down through the general manager, all the way down. One of the things that we do here, I literally have posted up for over a year back in the office next to service manager to make sure that we're rooting this in, seeding this in, because of the incredible difference it's made, not just for profitability, but the customer experience back in our service department. And we do a lot. We report daily tech video compliance numbers not only out to all of the technicians so they can see it, it gets sent out to our entire group, from dealer principal, controller, all part staff. You have to go into it with the thought and the idea of complete buy-in when it comes to that. We also select one perfect example, as close to perfection as you can get, of a really good example every single day of a tech video that equated to selling recommended services. And by doing that, you're able to keep those technicians bought in. And in my personal opinion, the way I've always tried to be is what gets praised gets repeated, right? So that's always been kind of my mindset. So by calling out that individual technician and telling him what a great job he did and showing him that he sold that work, you'd like to think that the others want to get recognized as well. So you just have to remember it's a journey. And we do incentivize our techs as well. So I pay them $1 per flat rate hour, and we do it per pay period as long as they're at an 85% tech video to closed RO metric. And then we also pay them another $1 per flat rate hour, and again, per pay period. And we do that off of recommendations. We try to go for 2 recommendations per repair order on average. And we do it for per pay period for a reason, so that a guy is allowed to have a bad pay period, but he can recover. He can change his behaviors and his tendencies.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, so really it's, showing them that it's a win for them, a win for the dealership, a win for the customer. It's a win for everyone by using it.
Yes.
So, I know that in the past you've used other tools to do a technician video. So, what is it about ServiceView that you believe is, better, or that's been more valuable to you than other tools that you've previously used?
Wow, what a good question. I've used MyKarma, and there's nothing wrong with that product. I've used Techion. There's nothing wrong with that product, but they both fail miserably, in my opinion, when it comes to the reporting side of it. The Delta reporting and the individual specifications and criteria that you're measuring your tech videos in per technician is just far, far superior with True Video. I mean, it is absolutely, there's just no comparison. And what we did here was something a little different. I decided that I wanted to try to align our dealership with CDK. And I wanted to align it with CDK for a reason. And that reason is simple. 75% of the Jaguar Land Rover dealers nationally are on CDK. So in my opinion, it only made sense to align ServiceView, which is a CDK product, of course, with CDK, because what myself and all of my employees here are supposed to be doing is focusing on cars, customers, and obviously our fellow employees. That's it. We're not here to measure, we're not here to manage software. That's not what we're here for. And some of these other players that are out there, they do not have 40 years of business rules like CDK does. And you have to trust in the fact that not only is this CDK ServiceView superior, in my opinion, it's only going to get better, right? keeping my guys in the right screens at the right time on a system that they've known for 20 or 30 years is just kind of a no-brainer for me. And that reporting that I'm talking about, the Delta reporting, the reason that it is so amazing is it measures a tech video that has been viewed or not viewed in the results of that, right? The results of that when it comes to measuring the ability to sell. Those Delta reports, that's what I use to get that buy-in from my staff and any and everyone else that that is part of tech video. Delta reporting is the best, in my opinion.
Well, Rich, I really appreciate, again, you joining. That it's great to hear those reports are allowing you to, like you said, keep that buy-in and keep your dollars per RO where you want them to be and where you want them to grow. And I'm sure Jaya will be nodding her head that yes, it's only going to get better, right? So as we continue to innovate, it's only going to get better. So Rich, thanks again for taking the time. I really appreciate your partnership.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
So again, Jaya, before we move on, are there any more questions out there? Maybe we can take a couple more before we move on.
Yeah, absolutely. Lots of excitement on these seamless workflows. So we have a fair bit of questions to cover. Let's take 2 or 3 here before we move to the next section here. So there is a question on, is Service View software to be purchased? This dealership has Service Connect today.
So if they have CDK Service today, I would really have to look. We have a fixed ops suite that includes everything. So it's, everything that we've talked about today would be part of that. So for example, there's the foundation suite that you heard Brian talking about, the new dealer experience. And that is going to, so the foundation suite was the base of that. And really that's going to allow a dealer to have everything they need for a customer to buy, for a dealer to sell the car, to service the car. And it will include the scheduling that we talked about at the beginning. And then the fixed ops suite will include everything. It will include everything that we were talking about today, from what you know of for the scheduling, the check-in, the tech video, the vehicle tracker. It will include everything. So, it's not a black and white answer. We'd have to look to see what you have today, but it is part of our fixed operations suite.
Thank you, Kim. There are a few questions on how do I get this? How do I contact my sales rep? So we'll reach out to you folks one-on-one just to make sure that you are able to add this to your purchase if you haven't already. There's a group of questions around the integrated workflow, and I believe, Kim, you've addressed that by showing that you don't have to go to separate tabs anymore. This is a seamlessly integrated workflow into your CDK service product today.
Correct. Okay, so we'll move on and then we'll answer however many more we can before we run out of time today. So thanks, Jaya. So the next step of our customer connection is really with the mobile approval, and that really goes hand in hand with that technician video. It's a critical piece of that customer communication, and one of the key pieces of our mobile approval solution is the integration that we have with service pricing, which we talked about earlier during the scheduling process. So being able to have that quoting process for the mobile approval with service pricing makes it much more efficient. And it also aligns, again, with that #1 requested feature from the customers of that transparent pricing. So as a technician fails an inspection point, they will immediately get launched into the quoting tool. So they don't have to go search for anything. It takes them right there and really makes that a much more efficient and seamless workflow for everyone. And so one of the things that I just wanted to point out is the latest feature. We've had the ability to do that mobile approval, have your customers approve or decline from their phone, but they'll also now be able to sign for that. So it will give you the ability to capture that customer signature on that approval so that you'll have the audit with the signature and the date and time stamp, as the customer approves that service. And then finally, the last step is really when the vehicle's ready and that vehicle tracker alert that we talked about. So The customer's notified that their vehicle is ready for pickup. They could also receive a link that they're, to pay for their service if this is an offer that you provide to your customers. The customers stay connected with your dealership. So really the key here through all of this communication is that it's a single communication platform, keeping that customer informed. And so our solution provides them communication from that single phone number that I mentioned before, notifying the customer about their status, letting them check it for themselves with a link. So as the consumers in a retail environment, we've come to expect this feature. Again, whether it's ordering a pizza or the DoorDash or my protein shake, we can see the status every step of the way. That same type of communication is critical to keeping your dealer's customers satisfied. And so accomplishing this helps you achieve your dealer's top business strategy. That 77% that say their top business strategy is improving the customer experience. So our platform allows you to stay connected, a single text thread. So from the consumer experience, it's a better experience. I'm getting everything from you from one text thread, one phone number, and it's a seamless experience and gives me the retail experience that I've come to expect as a customer. And not only that, but that your service shoppers are telling us that they want from you, from their service provider. So with that, Jaya, I know we are going to talk a little bit more about continuous innovation. So we'll do that, and then we'll save any more questions to the end.
Yeah, absolutely. You will definitely reserve some time for questions here. Thanks, Kim. And thank you, Alex and Rich, for your participation and your candid feedback through this journey of continuous innovation that we've been on with you, either on the scheduler or on the streamlined workflows. Nothing excites us more as product leaders when we see you using our product. We'll take a quick moment to do a quick shout out to our teams at CDK who have worked tirelessly to bring these workflows to life, from prototype all the way through to getting it in the hands of the customer. So it has been a journey indeed for us. So with that, I'm going to walk you through, just give you a quick preview on a new workflow that we have around booking. We're super excited to bring this out to you guys. We're in pilot phase right now. We have a handful of stores that are actively using this workflow. Today, I was just talking to Cindy Lamar, who's a team service manager at Dick Hanna, who's part of our pilot program. And she shared with us how they've recently been using this to quickly book ROs, be able to just bring about the efficiencies that today has been about 60 different commands for them in Drive. No more need to jump into different tabs. You're able to essentially just quickly book directly from CDK Service. It also is very helpful when you have new employees join your team, that you're able to train them on this new workflow very quickly. So working through pilot right now, it will be GA by the end of this year. So for the folks that are familiar with RO Dash, you'll see that we've added a new status at the bottom that is book final charges. You're able to review all of the information quickly, do any updates that you might need to do there. If you don't have any updates, you can just click on the toggle and quickly just book the line right there. So really excited to be bringing this workflow to you, and appreciate your partnership on this journey here. So I'm going to take a moment to share some quick updates with our data intelligence team. They've been working very hard to bring you reports and insights that will help you make informed decisions. This enterprise-level reporting offers advanced analytics, predictions, insights, including dealers like me. Dealerships can optimize performance across their sales, service, and finance departments and stay ahead of the competition. So really excited about this partnership with them and being able to bring you data to make informed decisions. And last but not least, this journey of continuous improvement and innovation could have not happened for us without your active participation, dealers. We really appreciate all the different ways that you stayed in touch with us. You communicated to us, you opened up your stores, welcomed us to observe, you've given us access to your users. One other way for you to stay engaged with us is through our dealer advisory board. So if you are interested, please drop us a note at this email here. By joining our dealer advisory board, you essentially will get access to early prototypes. We'll be able to provide inputs on our roadmap. It's a rotating group, so we are able to make sure that we are able to get multiple different groups to give us feedback and continue to iterate on the product. So if interested, we would love to hear from you. Please do drop us a note here. Thanks, Kim. With that, I'm going to turn it back to you to continue with the rest of our presentation.
Thanks, Jaya. So that's really exciting. I am certain everyone watching is going to be super excited or is super excited about the new booking because, like you said, today it's 60 plus commands inside of post final charges. And, I've been around CDK longer than I will share on this, so I can fly through it. But when you have a new person, this is great. I don't have to leave my workflow. So thanks, Jaya, for going over that. That's exciting. So not only do we have continuous innovation, but we also have continuous education. So basically I want to share that, the learning doesn't have to stop here with the CDK Connect event. Our CDK Global University has educational tools to help you and your team grow, whether it's, you want to go in deeper on the topics that we talk about today. If you want to, better define your processes with industry's best practices and courses, or maybe even advance your team's leadership development. All of these things are available on CDK University, so you can access it 24/7 at that cdkglobaluniversity.com. So it's available for you, to utilize at any time. And then last but not least, I wanted to share some upcoming webinar opportunities that we have. So if you're interested in any of these three, all you have to do is scan that QR code and it'll take you right to the registration page. So first we have one on November 8th for quality inspection videos. Rich talked about what he does and what he uses to help his technicians, create a great inspection video. But this webinar can help as well if that's something that you're struggling with. And then there's also one on November 9th for video utilization. So again, both of these are around that experience of providing those tech videos to your customers. And then on November 15th, if you are interested in the scheduling that we talked about, if you have CDK Service today, it's available to you today. But if you have that and you want to go in a little deeper, just scan that QR code for the in-store scheduling webinar that we have on November 15th. And Brooke, who shared the scheduling today, will be presenting this webinar for you and take you in deeper and allow you to ask more detailed questions around scheduling in particular. Like earlier, someone was asking about capacity. That's something that we could get into in more detail based on questions on that. So please join us for any of these webinars. I'll leave it up on the screen just for a couple more minutes, but I'll stop talking, Jaya, and we can go on to questions that we have. So we have a few more minutes.
Great, thanks, Kim. Yes, we have lots of interest on Service View and videos. So we'll go through that group of questions since it's top of mind, and then we'll cover some on Scheduler as well. One question that I have for you is there a library of videos that can be associated with repairs? So I'm assuming the question here is there pre-canned videos here?
There's not pre-canned, but you can create your own library. So if you want, and I'll actually have to double check, there may be some that are pre-canned, but I know for sure that you can create your own library. So I know dealers, and I think Rich might even be doing that, but I know dealers create a library. They may be doing something, just to show you around the dealership. It may not even be related to actual repairing the car, but you can have those and they are available to your technicians.
Thanks, Kim. There were a couple of questions similar. So you've addressed on pre-canned and the ability to add additional videos, not just technician videos. So we've covered that.
It's not limited to just the one tech video. So there's a lot of flexibility there. And if we have time, I may even, I don't know if Rich is still available, but he was actually going to pilot something with his, at his store, utilizing a different type of video where they're actually sending a video after the repair to show the customers, not only did you approve it, but we repaired it, and here's the fix. But he's just started piloting that recently. Rich, I don't know if you're still there. And
I am, and I'm glad that you let me talk again because I was going crazy. It's not that there's anything wrong with the canned videos. I'm not saying that that's a terrible, awful thing. It's just you don't want to do that. You're missing the point. This is supposed to be a personalized video from a specific technician working on that individual car. So I would very much try to not do that. That's, again, just my opinion. I wouldn't allow that to be done here. But yes, to your point, we are piloting with really our most receptive technician that we have in the shop right now. We're piloting a second video that we want to deploy out to the customer once the repairs are complete. So in other words, if you have a customer that has approved brake pads and rotors, I want to get a second video to go out to the customer that shows the new brake pads and rotors installed on the vehicle. Again, just trying to double down on the trust aspect of it. And then we even have a third video that would be a pre-recorded tech video saved into the library where it's just the technician, and for a short 15 seconds or so, he's just simply saying, "Hi, my name is Rich. I worked on your vehicle. Hope everything is still going okay. If not, please let us know. Hope you have a great day." Paraphrasing, that can be a recorded video that is very short in duration, and we're trying to find a way to deploy that a day to 3 days after the customers receive their car back. Just trying to continue to pound on the communications link that has been established through the tech video back and forth that you'll get. And anybody that just try it, if you will just try this, the verbatims that you get back from your customers about tech video, they lose their mind. They love it. They get to know the technicians. They will start requesting that technician work on their vehicle next time. It's a game changer.
Thanks, Rich.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, Jaya, what's next?
Yes. So I'm going to cover a range of topics here because I know we've talked extensively on video. There is a question here on any plans to add TK into CDK service for the techs. And I'm actually excited to answer this one. So I'm going to go ahead and share with the group here. Absolutely. So 2024, you will see us working further on these integrated workflows. You're seeing with booking and cashiering, we're picking up the customer pay RO first, which you'll start to see is live and will be GA. Next, we will be adding TK, and we will also be adding the warranty portion for booking and cashiering as well. So exciting journey here for us. Absolutely stay tuned to see those updates come through. There is a question here, Kim, on Canada and on the packages. Can you maybe share a little bit about that?
Yeah, so we are actually getting ready to, so Jaya just spent a week in Canada, is that right, Jaya? Visiting dealers to really just to look to see, is there any different offering that's needed in Canada? But yes, we are absolutely gonna have a package for Canada, very similar to what we have in the US. We're just really trying to dial it in to see if there's anything different that is needed in the Canadian market that we may not have in the US market, or that we have in the US market that's not needed in the Canadian market. So yes, very similar to the continuous innovation that Jay is speaking of, we will be adding new packaging for Canada as well.
Thanks, Kim. There is a question on TechFix and whether that will be replaced by this integrated workflow. So I'm happy to answer that.
Okay, go ahead, Jay. I'll let you talk to it.
Yeah, so as we modernize these workflows further, TechFix eventually will go away, but it is here to stay for now. So we will definitely We'll look to bring the rich video capabilities through all our workflows. But for now, if you're using TechFix, please continue to do so. Join the video journey if you're ready, but absolutely, we will be replacing it eventually.
We have just a couple more minutes, Jaya, maybe one or two more questions, and then we'll wrap up.
Yeah. So there's a couple of questions around reporting. And the reporting that you mentioned, Rich, there's a question on where do we find that? And also similarly is a question on how do we track this video usage report? Where can we find these reports? Kim?
So those are part of the service view solution. So on the service view solution, there's a dashboard that will show you, a dashboard view with the, the number of videos, how many that were shared, your net promoter score. You'll see all of that on the dashboard, but then you can drill down into any of that detail that Rich was talking about, where those, important KPIs are to share with with your employees. And Rich, I don't know if you want to chime in because you love those reports so much. I'm happy for you to share as well.
Yeah, I gotta chime in. If you're in Service View and you go to the Others tab, which is the furthest right tab, and you scroll down to Enhanced Reports. When you click into Enhanced Reports, it'll bring up a very cool screen that allows you to select your date range that you want to pursue, and it pops up automatically. It'll give you this graph that I'm talking about that measures the not viewed versus viewed tech videos and how many hours per RO, dollars per RO, and parts dollars per RO you've gained by having that tech video viewed. That's the entire premise behind it. But most importantly, and this is again where I told you it was tough, you have to be willing for those numbers and those graphs to look really, really bad in the beginning. When you first start with Service View, they'll be inverted. So in other words, you're going to be selling more when a customer does not view a tech video versus viewed. And that is a direct result of your technicians not doing a tech video. And I'm glad you got to get me back on screen. That's why we send direct from this store. We send direct, only way to do it, you send direct from the technician to the customer. I believe in it not passing by the advisor who can pick and choose which videos go out, not by any member of service management, directly from the technician out to the customer. And if you can get that done and stick with it and understand it's going to be tough, the results are amazing. You're going to see anywhere from 30 to 100% increases on all three of those measured metrics that you see in that graph.
Thanks, Rich. I appreciate you jumping on and sticking around and jumping on and adding more detail on how you're using it. I will just share that just so we don't scare anyone, sending it straight from the tech is an option, right? So not, there are going to be dealers who still want it to go to the advisor, and you can even do it by tech. Like maybe you're not willing for all your techs to do it yet. You want to test it out with this one tech, sending it directly. So you can do that as well. So just want to make sure that we don't, scare anyone that it's an all or nothing or that you have to do it this way. So we definitely give you flexibility as well. So Jaya, I think we maybe have time for one more. We have like 1 minute left.
Yeah. So I think there's a set of questions around the new scheduler and that they don't see it. So I highly recommend you please join our webinar that Kim just shared with you earlier. We'll also reach out to you one-on-one to make sure that the new scheduler is turned on for you and how to get to it. The webinar will help you get acquainted with it as well. But I think in the interest of time, Kim will leave those as separate responses that we'll get to after the session. I know we're just about at the hour here.
Yeah, that's perfect. And just to share again, here's the QR codes for those webinars. So if you didn't get that before, and Brooke does go through, how to turn it on if for some reason it's not turned on in your store, and we'll go like we said into more detail. So I'm just going to go ahead and stop and just thank you all for taking the time for jumping onto our CDK Connect event. I hope this was very valuable for you, both the keynote and the fixed ops breakout session. It is recorded and it will be posted. So if you have someone else in your store, you need to share it on, maybe you're part of a group and you want to share it with another store, it will be available for you to share as well. So thanks to Rich and to Alex and Brooke and Jaya. I appreciate you all being on here and helping me out with this. And just wish everyone to have a great day. Thank you so much.